This town ain't big enough for the both of us. Gone with John is live right now. Let me find the link. Might find it interesting. He's going through some movie stuff, and it's pretty good. He did the Truman Show, and now he's doing Fight Club. So if you want to check that out, I'd go over there and enjoy his show. I just kind of feel like doing something because I'm still, well, why not? You can always listen to it later. All right. Everybody remember Cassie J and the Red Pill movie. Remember that? Again, going back in history a little bit, right? Red Pill movie came out, I think, in 2016, somewhere 2017. And I think by now you know the general story. Cassie J is a filmmaker, makes documentaries, and she was pretty much a standard feminist, right? And she decided to go off and do a movie about the men's rights activists or the men's rights movement, whatever you want to call it. And in the making of the film and throughout the film and at the end of the film, she has, let's just say, she's still a feminist, someone for, the rights of women. But she has a much different and perhaps clearer understanding of some of the issues that these men groups bring up, right? And it's a good movie. It's full of interviews. A lot of the guys you're familiar with are on there. There's Paul Elam and Warren Farrell, and Angelucci, all those guys. And it's interesting. So if you want to look at that and watch her kind of transform over time, I thought it was a pretty good movie. And I think you can even get it free on YouTube. I think they have it as one of their once in a while free with ads movies. So if you want to look for that. But anyway, so Cassie J, while making the movie, did a lot of footage that didn't make it into the movie, I guess. She called it the raw files. And so for a while, she came out with a raw file video every week with stuff that wasn't in the movie, but is still rather interesting. And this one is with a woman named Katherine Spillar. Now, Katherine is going to be, I believe you will find, as I did, a stereotypical second wave fembot who has been brainwashed, absolutely brainwashed. And she's very good. I don't know what her career is. She's, media, something or other. She's good. She's good at not answering simple questions, which, a lot of these high-flying fembots, in the system, so to speak, they're good at that. They don't address the question. Simple question. First one will be a very simple question, and she does not answer it. Or she answers it in ways that, of course, pretend women are the victim. You know the story, right? So let's jump.
So talking about reproductive rights, right. Women have made a lot of advances and progress.
Yep.
Men's rights activists feel like...
Excuse me, this was 2013. Oh my God. This was 10 years ago. Oh, down way back in the memory,
They
I guess.
have virtually no reproductive rights. Do you think they do?
Okay, did you catch the simple question? The simple question brought up by MRAs, MRMs, red pill guys, whatever. In the United States, and of course things have changed with Roe, but it'll take a while to get that sorted out for the women. But in general, in most states, the government can force a man to become a father, but the government cannot force a woman to become a mother, and they shouldn't be able to do that. I totally agree. But the woman has to take some responsibility in this game. Now, Katherine is going to conveniently not only not ask the question, or answer the question rather, but she's going to put all the burden on men. Let's listen carefully. Now, you see what she was doing there. Hamster wheel spun up. It's like, oh shit, I know what she's saying is true, but I'm a feminist. I really can't say that. So what the hell? How am I going to deal with this? What am I going to say? Well, here we go.
Sure they do.
Really? Men have reproductive rights in the United States like women. where they can check out of parenting anytime if they want to. No. That's simply not true.
Men have the right to take responsibility for contraception and birth control.
Okay. What did she just say? Men have the right, the reproductive right to deal with birth control and such. Okay. Do we say the same thing about women? When a woman finds herself knocked up, do we say, well, you should have used birth control, but now you're stuck with 18 years of raising a child? Well, we don't say that, do we? The government does not force women to have children. Well, in some feminist fever dream, I'm sure they believe that is the case, but it's not. But men have the responsibility and, of course, the right to use birth control and such. But women, no, always the victim. Always the object, never the agent. Now, this was 2013. How many decades have they gotten away with this bullshit? Oh, no. If she gets pregnant, he did something to her. Well, that'd be the case in the case of criminal activity, wouldn't it? But not in a consensual, we have to agree to go off and do this. Yet, no one points at her and says, well, tough shit. You should have thought about that carefully before you jumped in the bed with Johnny Rando from the carnival, who actually probably will leave town and you don't even know who he is. But go ahead.
And then if they have fathered a child.
Looking to the left now, what does that mean? One is you're looking back at the other thing. I think you're trying to deceive. Okay,
taking responsibility for that child's upbringing.
Mm-hmm.
This whole fight on reproductive rights right now is definitely, there's no question, it's part of the backlash. If you think about it, and actually I was at a United Nations conference and heard a woman from Brazil.
Okay. And
talking about the fight in her country for reproductive rights for women.
And are we fighting for the rights of reproductive men's rights? No. See, in Catherine's mind, you have the right to clean up. That's your right. That's your responsibility, men. But women, no. They can go off and get an abortion. They can get the kid for adoption, drop it off at a fire station, whatever. But if you don't want to be a father, that's too bad. You should have thought about it before you impregnated this poor, innocent woman. See how deep this goes, guys? See the brainwashing?
And for girls. And there, the Catholic Church has tremendous influence on government policy making. And
I wonder if the Catholic Church also tells men that they shouldn't go out and hose all these women. That used to be what they told us. I'm sure it's probably the same in Brazil. So it's not just a female thing, I guess, huh? Right.
On the laws that are made, the Catholic Church, and of course,
evil Catholic Church, the Pope. He doesn't even have sex. What would he know about?
Of course, not only is abortion illegal, but birth control is illegal.
Well, okay, I didn't know that. All right, I might give you a point on that. Yeah, they should have that available. I agree with that.
And she said she was talking about the current issues in the feminist movement there, and it was all about reproductive rights, having access to contraception, having access to safe abortion, and reproductive health care.
Mm-hmm. And the rights of men in Brazil. What do they have? Nothing.
And she was apologetic. She said, we're consumed by these issues because it is how women reach autonomy.
Okay, see, if women have a baby, they don't have autonomy. But if men make a baby, they lose autonomy as well. Yeah. Sounds like, except for the birth control. I agree, they should have the birth control, but sounds fair, doesn't it? So there's a reason why you shouldn't be doing all the hosing. Men and women. It's not just the females, it's the men too. Keep in your freaking pants. The world would probably be a better place. But go on.
And I knew this intellectually, but hearing it from her mouth, I was struck again by how central having control over your own fertility is to your own sense of self and well-being and free agency.
Except if you're a man. Right, Katherine? Now, eventually, I'm sure she'll get around. Well, he just shouldn't have had sex then. Okay. Fair point. So what about her? Well, that's different. That's a whole different. See, that's part of her being a fulfilled human being is to go out and have sex, not have to worry about getting knocked up. All right. What about men? Oh, no. No. Nope. Interesting how they twist it.
You are constantly impregnated against your will.
Okay. Are we talking about rape here? Because that's a whole different ballgame. That's a criminal activity, etc. Is that what we're talking about? There are laws against that in Brazil.
In a marriage, out of a marriage, doesn't matter.
Constantly being pregnant.
You have very little control over your life because you're responsible for the upbringing of children, and you're responsible for their health and their care and their education and their feeding.
And so is the man. That's why one has to really carefully consider, or at least should, who you're sleeping with. Know what I'm saying? I think you do. Now, here's another thing available to every human being on the planet Earth. A free form of birth control. Are we going to talk about abstinence? No, we are not. Except if it's a man. He just shouldn't have sex. Is that right, Katherine? What if it helped, for a man to be fulfilled and autonomous and have a full life, he needs to get laid too. Well, that's his fucking problem, isn't it? If he gets somebody knocked up, he's stuck with it. He's got the he's got the right to take care of the child. Okay, then.
And so having the ability to decide if you'll ever have children and how...
Excuse me. You do as a woman and as a man. You have that ability right now, and it costs you nothing. So why don't we just peel the onion here a little? What she means is women and men, I guess there has to be somebody, two of them involved there, should be free and unfettered to have as much boinking as they want to have, with zero possibility of her having to take responsibility for the child, but 100% chance that he gets to pay for it because he has no reproductive rights. How hard is this? Do we really have to make it this hard, Katherine? Do we?
How many and under what conditions and when is powerful.
And women have that opportunity right now for free. Unless it's a criminal activity. They have every opportunity to not get knocked up. 100% guaranteed. You will not get pregnant if you do not have sex. Very simple.
It's very powerful because it makes a woman a full human being.
Of course, our implication here is that there's some evil man somewhere forcing her to have babies. Right? Catholic Church wants you to have as many kids as possible, et cetera, and so on. So we're told, right?
Able to make her own decisions and to control her own destiny.
I think the horse is dead here, but I'm going to beat it one more time. They already have that. Both men and women have that right now. Even those poor, oppressed women in Brazil. That's right.
And patriarchy depends on men being able to control that in women.
Really?
And that is what the fight is over. Now that, of course, those most opposed to abortion rights and access to abortion, access even to birth control, we're not in a fight in this country, again, that we thought we had, the movement generally thought was over in the 1960s. And
now, 2013, 10 years ago, she's saying that some people want to remove birth control. 10 years ago. Who was making the moves to do that? What serious member of the government proposed making birth control illegal in the United States in 2013? Who were these people? Oh, a few radical evangelical Christians somewhere in some dark corner of the country were bitching about it. Well, if that's their belief system, their parishioners can not use birth control. No one of serious political power or has any power to implement such nonsense said anything about this. No one. Go on.
The fight to access contraception. That's the fight now we're in.
No, you're not. You don't have that fight, dear. Now, in her feminist fantasy world, apparently she thinks there is that fight. There's not. And there won't be in the United States. Might be in some other countries, Brazil, maybe some other places. Not here. Not here, dear.
In addition to keeping abortion safe and accessible and legal.
Mm-hmm. Well, it still is, regardless of what they did with Roe in most states. So.
Well, men know this. And so.
The evil men, yes. The men know this. So tell us your point.
Access to birth control, access to abortion has always been something they have struggled throughout all of history to control.
Really? I thought that one decision was in 1965. This is 40, 50 years later. And you still say men are trying to restrict birth control for women. Right.
Now, women are always going to have the control of that. And women will do whatever it takes to control it.
Except not fuck. They'll do whatever it takes not to get pregnant, except abstain. Yeah? Am I right?
Including give up their own lives.
Or they could just not fuck. 100% guaranteed.
Women will.
Same with men. I'm not just picking on women. Men too. 100% guaranteed. You'll never be forced to become a father. She'll never have to be forced to become a mother, which she isn't. If you just take out the act in the middle that nobody ever wants to talk about. Something that the Catholic Church for thousands of years, well, a couple thousand years, said don't do that. Just don't do that. Wait till you get married. See? Didn't solve the problem completely, but it probably kept things in check. And you remove the guardrails and look what we have today. 70% out of wedlock birth rate for people, African-American ladies. 70%. The average among all women in the United States, 40%. Now we have birth control everywhere. It's available. It's almost free. And yet we're still almost half of the children born in the United States, born out of wedlock. That's what happens when you take the guardrails off. And that's exactly what these feminist Nazis wanted to happen.
Seek a back alley abortion. Women will self-induce abortion, whatever it takes to control her fertility.
Or she could just not have sex. Nope, that option is off the table. So you don't really mean whatever it takes, do you? You mean whatever it takes to still go out and fuck. Katherine, why don't you say that? They'll do whatever it takes as long as they can still keep having sex and get out of the responsibility of having a child. Not necessarily saying I disagree with that. But what I am saying is the same options are not available for men. dear, that was the simple question right at the beginning. Do men have reproductive rights in the United States? You didn't answer the question.
And she will do it no matter what, even
Except to abstain. Nope.
if it means her own life. That's how determined females around the world are, to have the control. Without that control, your life is a gamble.
They do have control. Again, the horse is dead by now. It's not a gamble if you get 100% guaranteed outcome. It's not a gamble. That's a guaranteed you won't get knocked up.
Your life is a gamble. And if you have too many children, you will be poor. You will not be able to invest in them properly. And women, especially who are raising children on their own, face economic discrimination in the workplace. And they're doing everything they can just to keep it together. So,
Except, now I don't disagree. I mean, women obviously should have a say in how many kids they have. Clearly. But that's something you need to work out between you and your husband or whatever, right?
So without that control, you have
I'm sorry. That's patriarch? Her partner. Excuse me.
ceded your autonomy to whoever can impregnate you.
Or they could say no.
So it's very central. It always has been, and it's why, as part of the backlash, there is this effort to, again, make abortion inaccessible, illegal, to keep contraception and birth control away from women.
Well, we did the Roe thing, and abortion's still legal in most states. I have not heard of a credible politician who said they should get rid of birth control. I'm sure there's somebody somewhere, but it ain't going to happen. It's not going to happen. And it shouldn't happen.
But women aren't going back. That's all there is to it.
Again, you still haven't answered the question, though, dear. Do men have reproductive rights similar to females in the United States? The answer is no. And you will not say that. I find that very interesting.
Absolutely. MRAs feel like if women have the right to choose pro-choice, if the women have the right to choose to have an abortion, then men should also have a right, some kind of right to choose whether or not to be a father. And so
yeah, imagine that.
They feel like, okay, well, if a woman can choose to have an abortion or keep the baby,
and here we go.
Keeps the baby.
Listen carefully.
Well, first of all, if she has an abortion, say he wanted the baby. There's just no getting
Well, he
around
should
that.
have thought of that early on. That should be a discussion between a man and a woman before you're faced with an unintended, unplanned pregnancy. And
it doesn't matter, though, does it, Katherine? Excuse me. 1 second. It doesn't matter. She could change her mind at any time. That is the right of women in this country. She could say, oh, no, if we have a baby, we'll get married. And the next day, I don't want to be pregnant. Boom, abortion. Morning after pill, etc. And he has no say in it. No matter what she said previously, dear. I mean, does she not know these things? She seems like an intelligent woman. She's got to know, right? She's got to know.
Pregnancy. So if you're going to be having sex that could result in pregnancy, and you haven't had this conversation with the woman that you're having sex with, you better have it. You better have it fast. What happens if birth control fails? What happens if you're not using birth control or contraception? So you better have that conversation up front. That's when the man has the ability to make decisions, either not to engage in sex or to use condoms and to use other forms of contraception.
What if she lies? Let's just say she lies. There are some states, I think, that want to make it illegal or make it a crime if you were to rip the condom off in the middle of the activity. Okay? that they want to consider that. What if she lies? What if she says, "Oh no, sweetie, everything's fine. I'm on birth control. Got the Nuva ring in there. I got the IUD, whatever," and she doesn't, and she gets pregnant. Then what? Oh, I think you should have worn a condom anyway, but that's just me.
That's where his role comes in.
Oh,
Once he's impregnated
his
her,
responsibility, yes.
she's the one now faced with continuing a pregnancy, faced with the health risks that accompany pregnancy.
Mm-hmm.
And over a third of all pregnancies, even in the United States, have complications.
A third. So she has to face all this bullshit. What is he? He gets to get away scot-free, right? Just walk away. Right? Is that right, Catherine?
And problems for her.
Mm-hmm.
And ultimately,
Yeah,
he can walk away.
Really? Well, that's certainly news to me, Catherine. So what you're saying is men have the reproductive right to just walk away. Interesting. I wonder, do you think if she goes and files for welfare or something, do you think the welfare office, child protective services, whatever, do you think they're going to want a name? Okay, so you got his name. You think they could track him down if he's got a name and say a social security number, he works, he's not some foreign guy that doesn't live here. You think he? So I wonder how these men can just walk away. So, this is the fembot thinking from decades ago when the carnies came to town, got the girls knocked up, and they left in a couple days and nobody knew who they were. That is not the world we live in today, dear. He will be held accountable. They will find him. That's the bottom line. And it's all up to her. Isn't that nice?
And she has to worry about how to feed and clothe and educate and care for and raise another human being.
Yeah, I guess she should have thought about that before she engaged in activity. Hey, if we have a baby, this is going to be a big task because kids, they don't do anything but eat and shit for like 2-3 years. Maybe she should have thought ahead a little. Nope, just the man should have been thinking about that. Is that right, Catherine? Is that right?
And all too frequently, men do walk away. Just walk.
Bullshit. That's a fucking lie, Catherine. Stop. You are lying.
Walk away.
No. You are lying.
So his rights have to be exercised early before a decision is made. And they better be making the decision together.
Again, the scenario we see today, 10 years later, there's a lot of hookups going on. There's a lot of randos you pick up at a bar, etc., and so on. What happens then, dear? Happens.
They better have agreed that a conception is what they're willing to risk, or that that's what they want.
And when she changes her mind, let's say she agrees, yeah, if I get knocked up, I'm going to have an abortion. I don't want a child right now. Okay, let's go. She gets knocked up and decides to have the baby. Well, then he doesn't have any say in that, does he? Except to pay, even though they had an agreement and a discussion beforehand. Oh, that's right. I keep forgetting. Never in the history of the world has a female changed her mind about such things. It's never happened. Good as gold. She says, I'm going to have an abortion. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. Right?
But once she's pregnant,
yes,
all decisions must be hers.
Mm-hmm. So if she changes her mind, then what then? They made an agreement. Now she can change her mind, and he can still be forced to become a father against his will and against the agreement they had. That doesn't sound very fair to me now, does it?
Because ultimately, she is the most impacted.
Yes, physically, yes. Financially, maybe not. Especially if he doesn't want to become a father. He's still going to have to pay up. So it affects the men as well in a different way. Which one is more affected? Probably the female. But for 18 years or longer, he's got to pay child support. Child support. It's not fair, is it? Nope.
There's just no question. And
especially if he doesn't want to become a father. The point, Catherine, the government exists right now telling women they cannot be forced to become mothers in general, for the most part. But they fully are on board with telling men, you shall become a father whether you like it or not. How is that fair treatment? How is that equality? I thought were fembots all about equality? Doesn't seem that way, does it? Seems to me you're only about equality if it benefits the female. And I get it. That's you're a feminist. It's a women's rights movement, sure, but it's not equality. Equality would be either one can bail out, no consequences. That's not the way it is, and it never will be, ever.
she ultimately has the responsibility for that child,
and so does he. So does he.
So the men's rights activists they're pushing an initiative to have a consent form that is signed once the baby is born. So say the woman decides to keep the baby.
Mm-hmm.
MRAs feel like they should not be enslaved to 18 years of child support.
Yep.
If they would have wanted to have an abortion.
Mm-hmm. Or what if she agreed to an abortion and didn't have one, etc.
So they feel once the baby is born, they could sign away their responsibilities
parental rights,
to the child, where they have no financial responsibility to take care of that child.
Yeah. Yep. That would be fair. That would be fair. Not some big convoluted court bullshit to forfeit your parental right. No. Just a form. It's like, I do not want to become a father. I'm not responsible for this person. I want no parental rights. Boom. Done. Now, what would that do, do you think, to the old sexual revolution type stuff? You think maybe that would put a crimp on things, yeah? Maybe the girls would have to think a little more carefully about it, wouldn't they? And men, too. Everybody'd have to take a good hard look and say, yeah, here are the consequences, and I just, I don't, we'll do something else.
Well, see, this is where they should have had this conversation early on.
Uh-huh. And when she changes her mind, then what?
And made a decision. If they're going to engage in sexual intercourse that could result in a pregnancy, they better have thought all that through.
Mm-hmm. But the man only, though, right? Didn't you say that? Well, the man he has to think ahead. Not the girl, though. Is that right? Now she's just repeating herself because Cassie's got her right on the ropes. She doesn't know what to say. Cassie's asking some very interesting questions. And Katherine just doesn't have an answer. Hamster wheel can't spin fast enough.
That's where their role comes in. Once there's been a conception and a pregnancy is carried to term, they have a responsibility because they participated equally in the creation of that.
Now, Katherine Spillar is not an unintelligent woman. She knows exactly what Cassie J is asking right here. She knows exactly what she's trying to get at, and Katherine is just dancing around the answer. She knows it's not fair. She knows it's not equality. She knows men can get hosed like that anytime she changes her mind. You can make an agreement. You could have legal forms, set it up with a lawyer, like a prenup for sex. Doesn't matter. Bring it to court, they'll throw it out because she was coerced. Or whatever. Come on, we know how this fucking game is played. Katherine, you too know how this game is played, dear. Come on.
So it's too late then for them to claim they have a right to walk away.
Too late for them to claim that they have a right to walk away. You told me men walk away all the time. Are we getting some stuff here that isn't aligned? You said men walk away all the time, right? Now you're saying, oh, well, they can't just walk away. Well, wait, excuse me, which one is it? Are we contradicting ourselves here? It's only been 7 minutes. Okay.
Although they do walk away,
Okay, so you're saying they shouldn't do that. But they also shouldn't have the right to not become a father legally. Once she's pregnant, well, it's up to her. Don't you understand? That is the issue, dear. Don't you? Don't you?
Yeah, hey, they do it all the time.
You said that like 5 times already, dear. We understand you believe men can just fucking run. No.
So I don't know what they're so worried about. What they're really worried about is that they have to take responsibility.
What they're really worried about is it's completely unfair that a female has control over reproduction. They have all the reproductive rights, and men are forced into becoming fathers by the government. That's what they're worried about.
And that they can't just engage in sexual intercourse with anyone they want to at any time and not bear any responsibility for.
But women should be able to do that and have no responsibility at all either, right? Men shouldn't be allowed to do that, but the chicks, no problem. No problem. Yeah, that smells like equality to me. If it smells like bullshit.
Contraception, any responsibility for the outcome. I mean, there's no question that sexual intercourse leads to pregnancy. So
no shit.
Think about that. And where is it that a man can have total control over what happens? It's on the front end of that. He can.
No, dear. No, she can change her mind at any time. Regardless of what they said on the pillow talk, oh yeah, don't worry about it. I'm on birth control. And if I get pregnant, I'll get an abortion. She gets pregnant and she wants to keep the baby. Then what? I guess that agreement didn't mean much. That discussion you had doesn't mean shit. My goodness.
He can prevent pregnancy. He can prevent pregnancy, or he can agree to a pregnancy and to being a responsible parent. That's where his decisions come in.
Mm-hmm. That's his right. Oh, God, you got to love the feminists, don't you? Douglas Edwards is in the building. RP Pope, currently looking for apartments in Sioux City, South Dakota, or South Sioux City, Iowa, or Sioux City, Iowa, North Sioux City, South Dakota. Okay, yeah. Pretty good area over there. I like it. RP Pope says what? Relaxing listening to hamster laying. Well, thank you. Alex Hackworth is here. Michelle Guevara. Who else is in the building? All kinds of people. Well, hey, Billy the Goat. Billy the Goat. Biddy the Goat's here. Billy the Goat. How are you doing? Yeah, Spillar is kind of delusional. Is probably a good way to put it. Well, there's Karen Strawn up there. So we see if we got another red pill file. We could maybe do one more. We'll see. I'm not having any drinks today, so I go, well, you should drink more, hamster. We don't have to listen to your live stream all the time. I know. All right, let me stop sharing. Let me see. Red pill. Raw files. Oh, here's a CNN thing. Search for dating turns into radicalization. Is this the one where Big John was? No, I've seen this one. No, that's not Big John. Okay. Daisy Cousins. Let's see. This is a good one with Harry Crouch. Red Pill movie. Oh, you can buy or rent it. Sometimes it's free, though. Sometimes it's free. Let's see. The red pill. Good day, Sacramento, California. Well, there's just so much here. What can we do? Red pill raw files. All right, let's go see. Oh, hold on. You can't hear it, but I can. All right, hold on. Cassie J. All right, what's she up to these days? Red pill. Ooh. Let me play that in case you've missed it. Oops. Hold on. I'll get my chit together here in a minute. Probably. Is it that one? Oh, it's this one. Okay. Share. Blow it up. Here's the trailer for the movie. Missed it. All right, go ahead.
1 in 3 American women
and equal rights for women in the United States
have been found guilty of raping a West Virginia teenager.
Misogynist rantings would be at home in the far-reaching internet subculture widely described as the men's rights movement.
Declaring the month of October to be Bash a Violent Month.
I decided to go where no feminist has gone before.
Well, you certainly did, Cassie. You certainly
and
did.
Meet these men's rights activists.
Into the den of lions. That evil Warren Farrell.
Men and boys are in crisis and they need your support because they are human beings too. And you will not shame anybody here into silence about it anymore.
Every society survived based on its ability to train its sons to be disposable.
The U.S. government does not want to send you to die. They'd rather send me to die.
93% of workplace fatalities are men. 4 of 5 suicides.
The family court system truly is biased against men. I mean, there's just no question about it.
How can anybody not be angered by it? But if you start to talk about those issues, people get hostile.
Oh, yeah. Oh, why you want to set women back in the 50s, you evil man? Making sandwiches and chained to the stove, naked and barefoot. Big Red makes an appearance. Did you see Big Red? Maybe we should do a Big Red, because I think she's on this one. Yeah, she's in the Red Raw.
We're somehow disempowered because we're white men. Maybe it's just because you're pathetic.
The paradigm that most people live by. Men have all the power. Women don't make the same money for the same work. Yep. That is feminist training.
It's nonsense, really.
Flexibility in roles is where we should be all headed.
So where do the men's movement and feminism disagree?
Is the men's rights movement the gender version of the white nationalist movement?
Did you guys catch that? You hear what this man said?
Of the white nationalist movement.
So red pill men are white nationalists. Nazis.
Men's rights movement is part of the backlash. Grandfather's generation probably had it pretty well. Well, grow up.
She told her friend she's going to trick me into fathering the child.
So easily she dismisses the concerns of men. Just suck it up, boys. It's our turn now, right?
Called a bunch of domestic violence shelters. Every place said, we don't help men.
When I reported my domestic assault, I did not bring up the fact that I was sexually assaulted. There was no way he was going to believe that I was going to be a victim of sexual assault.
All the evils of the world's from patriarchy, but we're the ones dying, and we die for you guys.
I don't know where I'm headed, what I believe.
This is not flattering to men to talk about men's vulnerabilities.
We're not blaming men. We just named everything bad after them.
Thanks, Karen.
I think I agree with everything you said, but there's still some kind of unsettling doubt.
That's because she was brainwashed as a feminist. It's not accidental, guys. I think the horse has been beat dead there. Let's see if we can find Big Red. I know it's here somewhere. Did she take it down? All right, well, hold on. We'll find Big Red. Now, you might not remember Big Red, but Big Red was screaming and yelling at I don't know who it was some men's rights activist or something in Canada. And she just lost her shit. Maybe we should just find that video, huh? All right, where's Big Red? Come on. Where are you? Where are you? There she is. There's Big Red. All right.
You're moving up in the world. You deserve a bank that can keep up with your changing needs.
Yeah, she was a
It's time to make the bold move to BOS.
radical feminist.
We'll help you go from simple checking to checking
Screaming
all
and
your
yelling.
financial goals.
Yeah.
BOS, Bank
Bank of the
Bold.
South. Yeah, good. Thank you. All right, Granger Smith. My name's Earl Dibbles Jr. He's got a YouTube channel as well. If you're, he's pretty interesting. All right, Red Pill Raw Files. Here comes Big Red.
A lot of MRAs say that there is no point to feminism, that it's achieved what it needed to achieve, and now
it's no longer relevant. Yeah. Tell that to all the victims of rape culture.
Get some popcorn, guys. Here we go.
Tell that to all the people who are still suffering like wage inequality. When you look at the CEOs, the top earning CEOs, they're making like hundreds of millions of dollars per year when they're male. But then when you look at the top earning female CEOs, they're making maybe 50 million.
Oh God, that's terrible. Only 50.
So, I mean, really, yeah, okay, fine.
God, the horrible oppression.
Their companies are going to be different. There's going to be different dynamics in each position. I get that, but they're still CEOs.
If you're in the position where you're going to be a CEO, you're going to negotiate your contract. There's going to be stock options. There's going to be all kinds of crazy shit, right? You might only get a salary that's very low, but you get a lot of stock options. It's really going to be hard to compare between men and women who are CEOs. That's going to be tough. What did you agree to? What's the board agree to pay you? How many stock options did you get this year? All that other crap. So go ahead.
They're still running the joint. There shouldn't be that huge of a discrepancy between male and female. So,
Okay.
those are just examples. And there's still a lot of sexism in terms of like gender roles and we're still expected to be wives and mothers and things like that. So
No, you're not. Where does this shit come from? You can do whatever the hell you want with your life. Do what you want. So what is this crap? Oh, we're supposed to expect it. Well, then don't do it. If you don't want that, don't do it. You have agency, Big Red. You have agency. You can choose to do what you want with your own life.
So no, we're always trying to dismantle gender
The
roles.
patriarchy.
At the end of the day, that's really all we want is to really dismantle gender roles and make sure that, hey, you know what? If you are for example, in custody battles, like if you're the better parent, we want you to have custody.
No, you don't. Nope. Absolutely not. That is not the case. That is not the feminist narrative on that. The only way, how they get around that, it's really interesting. She might even say it here in this interview. Well, it's patriarchal to assume that the woman is going to get the children because blah, 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 blah. That's the patriarchy. We got to dismantle that. Well, it's what is it, 80%? 90% of women get the custody of kids. Interesting. Patriarchy, of course.
That's it.
Yeah.
I don't care what your genitalia is or your gender identity. It doesn't matter. If you're the better parent, you get custody.
Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way, though. So what is feminism doing about that, Big Red? How are we going to fix that problem in your eyes? Nothing, right?
If you make more money, then you have to give out the alimony. That's it.
Except when it happens that the female's making more money than the dude, then they're screaming, crying, gnashing of teeth, wailing, pissing, and oh my God, that's not what alimony is for. Why should Adele have to pay her loser husband alimony? Oh my God, that's not the way it's supposed to work. Right?
That's what it is, right? So, there's still a lot of discrepancies between men and women.
A lot of discrepancies between men. And women. It's kind of the way it is.
And the idea that feminism is no longer relevant, it's just, no.
So a lot of MRAs say that feminism doesn't fight for the rights of men. What would you say to that?
Cry me a river.
She just said 10 seconds ago, part of the problem is the child custody thing. The better parent should get the children. Alimony, whoever makes more money should pay alimony. Yet, feminism doesn't fight for those things. You just said it yourself, Big Red. Cry me a river. That's what you just said. So what is it? Does feminism want to get the child custody thing under control, which would be sort of fighting for the rights of men, or don't they? Which one is it? I think we know what the one is. They don't. Dear, come on now.
Oh, wait, I'm already famous for saying that. No.
Yeah, I suppose you are, yeah.
Really, because feminism is a movement about the discrepancies, like when it comes to women's equality, because we're still not there yet.
Women's equality compared to CEOs. What about the women's equality compared to average Joe? No. Let's not talk about that. The glass floor. No way.
And so for when we create a space, our own space to talk about our own issues and the things that we have to deal with, whether it be harassment or objectification or, income inequality, whatever the case may be, these MRAs decide to go trample on our parade and say, but what about the men's? I'm sorry. You have been taking over our politics and our media for God knows when.
Let's not forget, Big Red, that this evil patriarchy, these men, are what gave women all the rights they have today. The hell kind of a patriarchy is that? Set up by and for the benefit of men only. I guess it's not working out so well. Or maybe patriarchy is just a bunch of bullshit. Patriarchy is synonymous with capitalism, and they don't like capitalism.
Since God knows when, I should say. So don't even start with that whole, but you don't think about the men's issue. Well, then you know what? Start your own goddamn movement, which
they have.
Have.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. Isn't she just a pile of fun?
But maybe make it a little more about legitimate issues.
Legitimate. Oh, my God. Make it about legitimate issues, guys. None of what you're talking about is real legitimate shit. Child custody, divorce laws, false accusations of rape, domestic violence, false allegations. None of that shit's real. You're imagining it. So if you just did something, fought for legitimate issues, like, what can you do to benefit the females in this country? Then we could talk.
Like custody and alimony and things that you think are unequal, which all stem from patriarchy.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Not from, oh my God, feminists are trying to take away our kids. No, dipshit. That's not what we're trying to do. We're not trying to do that. I mean, if they look at the root causes of why, for example, women get custody more often than men do.
Yes.
Women are supposed to be the mothers. They're
What'd I tell
supposed
you?
to be the natural born caregivers.
Told
so
you.
obviously, you has a vagina, so obviously you're going to be able to take care of the kitties.
It's part of the patriarchy. That's why.
That's really what it is. It all stems from sexism against women. And
I guess I must have watched this a couple times. I kind of know what's coming up.
Same with alimony as well. I mean, women were supposed to, back in the day, they were supposed to be making, money and not they're supposed to be making babies and not money.
Yeah. And at the time, it made sense. However, women can get their own jobs and make their own money. You go girl, queens, powerful, strong, all that shit. And yet, that patriarchal alimony still exists, and nobody seems to say anything about that from the feminists. Isn't that part of the patriarchy? Shouldn't we get rid of that patriarchal? No. That's not what we mean when we say equality, people. What we mean is everything that benefits women.
And, that those gender roles are still ingrained in our brain. And
so what is the feminist movement doing about getting rid of alimony? Except for nothing. If it's such a big problem, Big Red, why the hell aren't they marching in the streets? This is unfair. This is patriarchal oppression. The patriarchy set this up. We got to get rid of it. We got to smash that part of it. No. Well, isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting?
so and still in our judicial system. So it's not discrimination against men. That these MRAs seem to think it is. It's discrimination against women, and consequently, it negatively affects them as well.
It's discrimination against women, the alimony system. Now, how in God's name do you square that circle? It's discrimination against women, the fact that we still have alimony. I told you, get the popcorn.
So we are, in a sense, not directly, but we are indirectly still working on their issues, but it's more like we're trying to dismantle patriarchy, which will then help them. So, anyways.
Mm-hmm. So if we dismantle the patriarchy, which is imposing this horrible oppression on women by making men pay them alimony, things will be great. Be lovely.
Yeah, that's a great point, because one of the reasons why women are often the stay-at-home caregiver is because men still make more in the workplace. So it doesn't make sense for a woman to be the waitress and have the guy make more stay home.
No, that's exactly not true. For men and women doing the same job, same education, same experience, they're paid the fucking same. I don't have to debunk the wage fucking gap again. Has it ever occurred to Big Red that some women would rather stay home with their kids? Some women are not all about the big career boss bitch crap. They would like to raise their children, spend a few years doing that, and then go back to work when the kids are in school. Have you ever thought about that? Maybe they don't want to go back to work immediately because daycare is so fucking expensive. Maybe there's other considerations, not just sexism and the patriarchy. Have you thought about it? Have you?
Exactly.
Yeah. So MRAs say that, because I've brought up, okay, we do live in a male-dominated or male-powered world, because if you look at politicians, even in the U.S., we still haven't had a female president. We have a black president, but still haven't had a female president.
Yes.
And all the top 1% of income, all the Forbes people most of them are men. And so when I tell that to an MRA, they say, yeah, but if you look at the bottom slum of the country, so the people who are homeless, the people who are in poverty and all that, then it's mostly men as well.
We don't want to look at that, though. We're always looking up only. See, look, the CEOs and all that shit. I wonder how many of those CEOs actually started their company. Jeff Bezos, for example. Bill Gates, for example. Some of these high-flying guys. The guy from PayPal. Musk. Of course, Musk got a lot of tax money. Okay. Point is, if you started the company, why wouldn't you be the CEO? I guess one solution would be, if females want to be CEOs, they should start starting their own companies. No. That would be too much work. We just want something given to us, because evil men have more than we do. So we should just get it. Right?
So just because the top 1% is largely men, look at the bottom, 20% and it's mostly men. What would you say to that?
I don't know if that's necessarily true. I don't know the statistics. It could be true, but still, what does that have to do with feminism?
Well, nothing, because you said feminism isn't going to do shit about men's issues. So really nothing to do with feminism.
How is that even relevant?
It's not.
So what? A bunch of dudes are out homeless. Okay, fine.
Isn't that part of the problem, Big Red? Isn't it part of the problem that you say, so what? that some men in this country are struggling. So what? They're living on the street. So what? We have a drug epidemic. We got people dying of overdoses, suicide, et cetera, and so on. So what? So what?
What does that have to do with feminism? It has nothing to do with it.
Now, wait a minute, Big Red. I'm sure you've even uttered these words yourself. Feminism is for everybody. Right?
It's an issue. It's an issue in and of itself. But
you said, so what? So it's not an issue in your mind. You don't care. You could give a shit less. Right? You just said it. I'm not putting words in your mouth. You just said it right on the tape. Right on the tape.
It doesn't have anything to do with feminism versus MRAs. It's irrelevant. Like it's the same thing when they were talking about CAMH. Oh, there's more spaces available for women than there are for men, or something like that. And I was like, that's when I started saying like Crimea River, because I'm like,
did I disappoint? Did I say this wouldn't be epic? I said it. Oh, Big Red is a piece of work.
that has nothing to do with it. Like, I mean, if you like, you know, if you want to talk about legitimate gender issues, fine, but like, make sure that they have something to do with those
feminism, women, yes,
things. Like, just make sure that has something to do with the fact that they're men. You know what I mean? Because really, it has nothing to do with that. How does it have anything to do with that? That's what I'd like to know. Like, please, like, send me the link. Like, tell me what. How are they connected? Because I really can't. I don't have no idea.
Okay, so let me help. Let me help. Domestic violence affects both men and women. Okay, roughly at the same rate. I don't have the stat in front of me. That's the last I heard. But it's not just females that are abused domestically. And if a man is in that situation, and I know a guy, I worked with him that was in that very situation where he was being physically abused by his wife. He tried to find help. He wanted to go. It's like, hey, I got to get out of here. I got to do something. Now, this is wrong. Nothing. Zero. No shelter. No nothing. What about the guy in Canada who tried to put together for years a shelter for men going through domestic violence or what have you? Government of Canada would not fund the guy. He eventually offed himself because he spent a good part of his life trying to make this happen. He put together the data, the statistics, and the government of Canada said no. Why is that? Why do you think that would be, Big Red? Because if the government allocated money for men's domestic shelters as well, you would scream that you're taking money away from the real problem. The violence against women. That's why. And the politicians, they just want to win. They don't fucking care. Not in my country, not in your country. They don't give a shit. They just want to keep power. So if someone proposed that we give money set aside for men's domestic violence shelter, there'd be protests in the streets. And that person who proposed that wouldn't get reelected. You see how this works? Same with cancer money, right? Breast cancer, prostate cancer kills just about as many men as women. And yet the funding for women's breast cancer is magnitudes greater. Why is that? I thought you were about equality. No, you're not.
No, feminists aren't kicking out dudes out of their houses and saying, no, we want your house now. No, what the hell? What kind of logic? I mean, anyways.
Clearly you can see this person has some mental illness. I'm not making fun of her. I hope she gets whatever help she needs, but clearly this person's a little bit schmetzin, if you know what I mean.
So do you think there should be a men's movement for like the men's specific issues?
Yeah, you know what? Hey, look, if you're about, as I was saying before, if you're about like custody battles, alimony, homeless men, suicide rates, things of that nature, by all means, go ahead, focus on those things, find like the root cause of what those things are, but don't turn around and say that it's because women have equality now and therefore that's why men are getting kicked out of their houses and are on the streets.
I don't think anybody's saying that. And those are the issues that Paul Elam, Warren Farrell are concentrating on. That's what they talk about all the time. And they're not blaming women. They're not blaming feminists. They're saying, wait a minute, there's a big inequality here. Okay. Men have similar problems, not as severe, probably. But there are similar problems with sexual assault, with homelessness, with violence, with all of this shit. But the government doesn't seem to care. It's not that they want to put feminists out of business. It's like, wait a minute, we have issues too. And we would like a little bit of support here to try to figure out what the hell is going on. It's really not that hard. But when you hear the government is going to start maybe looking into these things, you assume that means they're going to stop caring about your stuff, which is mostly imaginary at this point. The men have these real, the MRAs, Paul Elam, these are actual problems. What the fembots are talking about these days, they don't even exist as problems. They are made up fantasies. Big Red. That's why you're getting pushback. It's like, well, you got all this and you got all that and you did. What the hell are you even fighting for? No one seems to know. Just we got to fight. Where these guys are saying, we have these actual problems. We have data. We can show you. But go on, dear.
What? No, like dig a little deeper, do some research, figure it out, and then you can have a movement. I'm not against men having their rights, but you know.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Without question, you are.
History of everything. Men have always had rights. Like, I mean, Louis C.K., whatever. Yeah, what?
Men have always had rights. Really? Well, we know men have always had responsibilities. Did you know, Big Red, during the Vietnam War, men were drafted and sent to Vietnam to fight in that war who couldn't even vote? Did you know that? No. No, you didn't. And you don't fucking care. Cry me a river.
Louis C.K., I don't know. Anyways, he had a great quote where he said, you know what? As a white dude, I can go in a time machine and sit at the head of the table at any point in history. Didn't matter. And he's right. If you're a black
okay, then.
person, nope. If you're a woman, hell no. So, yeah, they've had rights since the beginning of time. So this idea that because feminists are trying to make women have rights, like it's not taking away from your right to have stuff, like, and your right to vote and your right to do things. No, it's like, if you want to talk about alimony and custody and suicide rates and stuff like that, that's fine. But
well, thank you for your approval. We appreciate that. That's what these men are talking about. Big Red. That's what they're talking about. You dumbass.
to turn around and blame it on feminists and then, you know, send them rape threats and death threats when they disagree with you. You're not doing it right. You did it wrong.
So you only had an issue with MRAs when they started attacking feminism, right? Like if they were just doing their thing without ever bringing up the word feminist, you'd be fine with it.
Yeah, when like if again, if it was the same types of things that I was just saying, like
the approved problems that you think are okay. You approve of these problems that we can complain about and try to fix, but you won't help. Okay.
The alimony, the suicide rates, whatever, homeless men, whatever.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, it was kind of important to men. It's not a whatever. It's rather important stuff. But go on.
That kind of stuff, you know, fine. You know what? Focus on those kinds of things. I would have no issue with that. But the second they turn around and they start attacking feminists, like they don't have it anymore. At least maybe I was not able to find it. But they had like a bunch of pictures of various different feminists, and they labeled them all bigots.
Oh, yeah. Now we got to get into the memes.
And they wrote an article one time, and I think it was Paul, I'm not sure, but it was from A Voice for Men.
Yeah.
And they offered $1,000 reward for the personal information of some feminists that they were against.
Well, that's not right.
So,
I mean, I don't agree with that sort of thing. I don't know if it happened, but if it did, that isn't the right thing to do.
If your movement is about men's rights, make it about men's rights instead of anti-feminism, because that's really ultimately what it comes down to.
Well, she's right in a sense. It is anti-feminism because feminism is Marxism. It's not about women's rights anymore. You know it, Big Red. You've said it a million times. Destroy the patriarchy. Destroy capitalism. That's what you mean, dear. We get it. We get it.
That's interesting. That's the register her.
There's register her. Yep. I know Jessica Valenti was on there. Even Katherine Hegel. The hell?
What about that? What about that website that cropped up a few years ago? It was journalists who were anonymously accused of Me Too shit with names, phone numbers, all of that identifying information. I suppose that's all right, though. No, it's not all right in either way, but I'm sure you didn't disagree so much with that. Again, this was pre-Me Too, so she wouldn't have known about that. And I wonder what her thoughts would be about that. Anonymously accusing men of certain sexual activities, attaching their names and where they work. I'm sure that'd be perfectly fine. Right?
What? I don't know what she's done, but yeah, even Katherine Heigl? Okay, maybe. Yeah, maybe I got it wrong. Yeah, Heigl. Okay. Yeah.
Have you been on there?
I haven't checked. I mean, I checked initially when I started getting the threats and everything, but I haven't checked since then, just because there's only so much patience I have for that site before I start to, lose brain cells.
but I agree. You shouldn't be making threats against people. That's just stupid. That's childish nonsense. Nobody should be doing that.
I kind of value them, so.
Do you know what the nickname is for feminists on a voice woman? What they call it?
Feminazis?
No. I probably do. Refresh my memory.
Rape tards.
Oh, for crying out loud. Rape tards. Right. Okay. So let's throw in some ableism while we're at it too. Okay. That sounds about right. Really? Really?
Boy, she's got the whole plate here. She's got everything. She's got the whole enchilada.
They are not in touch with reality at all in any way, shape, or form.
Really?
They seem to think that the bigger issue is false rape accusations, which constitute 2% of all rape allegations.
That's a lie. 2 to 8% of those who are proven to be false. Didn't happen. Didn't happen at all. Guaranteed evidence. The guy wasn't even in the freaking same town, etc. Now, let's talk about the 90% of rape cases that do not result in a conviction. How many of those were just false and they weren't proven to be false? Curious. I would say the number, dear, is closer to 45% of rape cases are false. They didn't happen. And you can look up the data. There was a guy who did a study in the Air Force, and that was the number he came up with. He went through the records. He went through the the criminal statistics for the Air Force. And he studied it. And it turned out 45% were false. Didn't happen. But go on. Believe whatever you want to believe.
They think that's the bigger problem as opposed to rape victims, actual rape victims, and the injustice in terms of like when it comes down to convicting rapists, because it's something like 1 in 16 rapists will actually spend any time in jail.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So,
excuse me. Let's modify your words there. Now, if you're telling me that 1 in 16 or 90, 10% of rapists, whatever, convicted rapists will not spend any time in jail, well, then we have an issue we can talk about, because that's a horrible crime. And if these men are convicted, they ought to spend some time in the clink. But notice the crafty way she just put that. Notice that? See, you got to watch for everything here. She didn't say 1 in 16 convicted men don't go to jail. She said 1 in 15 rapists. What does that mean? Does it mean convicted? Or does it mean men who are accused? She means accused.
But they think that that's not so much a problem. What about the false allegations? Let me explain you a thing, okay?
What about Title IX? Big Red. I wonder what you think about that. Of course, I think she's in Canada. British Columbia. Okay. What about the Title IX? Again, you don't know about it, but I'm sure you've heard it. What do you think about that? Curious.
Okay. It's hard enough to convict a rapist on a legitimate rape claim.
Why is that? Why is it so hard to convict someone of that? Because there's usually only 2 people in the room. Yeah.
I'm not talking about legitimate rape like Todd Aiken. I'm talking about like an actual rape allegation.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard enough to convict a rapist in that way.
So it should be easier. We just take her word and throw the guy in prison, right? But where else would you go? Yes, it's hard to convict someone, to put them in prison for a very long time. It should be for any crime. But let's back off on this particular crime. If she says it happened, well, let's make it 50%. Probably happened, right? Oh, that's Title IX.
Let alone a false accusation. Really? You're going to sit there and tell me that false accusations is a real problem?
Yes, I am. Yes, it is a big problem. 45%, dear.
Really?
1 out of 2 men who were accused of rape didn't happen. I would say that's a pretty big problem. Call me crazy.
2%.
Even if, let's make the number 10. Even if 10% of men accused, that's 10, 20,000 men. What about those men? They 2 should go to jail just because she said so? Well, that sounds like a fun place to live.
Which is the same rate, FYI, as all false reported crimes. Muggings, robberies, what have you.
The difference is, dear, if I go to the police and I say somebody stole my car, okay? And I'm not comparing stealing a car with rape. I'm just trying to make an example here. If I go to the police and say somebody stole my car, and they come to my house to take the report, and the car is in the driveway, be like, I thought you said someone stole your car. Oh yeah, somebody stole my car. There's evidence. The car is missing. Okay, well, it might be stolen. How do you determine what happened in a room with only 2 people in it? How do you do that?
It's always 2%. False accusations, false allegations, whatever, it's always 2%.
Proven false.
And for some reason, rape accusations, false rape accusations are they're the ones that get more attention. I can't believe she's trying to ruin my reputation.
I'm not talking about reputation, you stupid fuck. You're talking about a felony crime that can get your ass in jail for years. You bonehead. Your reputation can be ruined by the mere allegation. But the consequences of getting convicted is hard time in prison. I wonder why men would be concerned about that. I have no idea.
Really? No. You did it on your own.
Well, the Steubenville case was really what got me interested in this topic.
Right.
And I couldn't believe the victim blaming that was well, she shouldn't have drank that much. And what was she wearing? And what did she tweet before she went to the party?
Right.
What do you think about victim blaming for rape, actual rape cases?
Well,
it's not. There are some men that would blame the victim. Well, what they mean to encompass by when they say victim blaming is she should not be held responsible for anything that got her into that particular situation where these things could possibly happen. It's not that we say, well, she did that. She should have been attacked. It's not what people say. We're saying, wait a minute. No. The attack is wrong. Clearly, that's a crime. Was there anything she did before that? Did she get too drunk? Did she put herself in a bad neighbor? Whatever. That could have led. No. You can't talk about that. You can't talk. Do you guys remember Chrissy Hind, the singer for the Pretenders? So I think she's from Ohio, U.S. And she had a couple of years ago in a story. She goes, yeah, this happened to me. And she said something like, what the hell did I expect? It was a bunch of, drug biker gang people. I was in a short skirt and high heels in a drug den or something. What did I expect was going to happen? Oh, the feminists lost their fucking minds. Oh, my God. Chrissy Hind is blaming herself. It's like, yeah, she said this. What was I doing? I made really stupid decisions going into that particular den of drugs or what have you, wherever it was in Ohio, I guess. So she was attacked. She was raped by this biker gang. And she came out and said, I would not do that again. I did some stupid things. Blah, 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 blah. They lost their fucking minds. Because you can't hold women responsible for anything. Even just doing things that normal people would do, not go to a bad part of town at night alone, shit like that. Does that mean the woman deserves to be attacked? Of course not. But it's personal responsibility. You got to look out for yourself. Men do have to do the same thing all the time. It's not the same crime generally, but it's other crimes that can happen if you're in the wrong place at the wrong time. Stay away from where the criminals hang out. You're probably going to be in a better place. That's what Chrissy Hind says, and she was vilified. They wanted her head on a pike. She betrayed the sisterhood. You can't say that. It was pretty frightening, actually.
Isn't it interesting, though, when they sit there and say, well, she shouldn't have been drinking so much?
Okay.
Because obviously she put herself in that situation if she was drinking so much.
Mm-hmm.
But then if the roles are reversed and the dude was drinking a lot.
Uh-huh.
Oh, but he was drinking. He didn't know what he was doing. What the hell? How are you going to blame him for that?
Do they do they hold people accountable for driving while they're drunk? Or do they say, boys will be boys? No problem. I saw a poster the other day, and this actually went around on college campuses a few years ago. And it said, if she even has one drink, it's rape. One cocktail. How does that make sense? It doesn't.
Victim blaming is it's a huge part of rape culture. The more you blame the victim, the less blame you put on the perpetrator, and the cycle just continues.
You know what perpetuates the rape culture, Big Red? Women who don't report to the police when these things happen to them. Unfortunate, horrible things. If they don't call the police, they're letting the rapist go to do it again. And how many rapes are unreported, allegedly? So I think we've got a problem there. We got to figure out why women are not feeling empowered to call the police when they are raped. Let's start with that, and we can get these guys off the street. What do you? Yeah, that's something we can agree on, right?
Because obviously I'm going to rape her because she's got a short skirt on. Duh. It's only natural. I can't control my urges. I'm just a man beast.
I think some of this crap comes from that movie. What was it? Jodie Foster was in it. Against Her Will or something. She went to a bar. She had the short skirt on, and some guys, did that. And I think there was a whole court thing. Wow, what were you wearing and stuff? I don't think this really happens. I certainly hope not. In real life, you get to a court. Wow, what was she wearing? I think that is just out of Hollywood, lady. She done screaming? I tell you, you guys, can you believe the amount of entertainment you get here? I told you she was something, didn't I? Yep. Look at the damage Amber Heard tried to cause. Yeah. He did this and he did that, and it turned out she actually did that and this. Free Ross is in the building. Hello, Free. I don't mind women police who focus on women's issues to help. Yeah. Bingo. Absolutely. Absolutely. But the problem is what they have to have is some sort of evidence. And that's what Big Red is saying. Well, there's hardly any prosecutions because there's no evidence. There's not clear-cut evidence. Two people in a room, they have sex. She cries rape. How are you going to prove it? How are you going to do it? It's a very, very gray area. It's a tricky subject because I'm sure there are probably some women who are attacked like that, legitimately attacked in just a room with another guy. There's no way to prove anything. Yep. Well, I understand what you're saying, Brandon. I do. Just like if there was a patriarchy, we're sure doing a hell of a shitty job keeping men in all positions of power. Women have the right to vote in what patriarchy? I guess this one. Probably. Lego My Ego is here. Thanks you guys for showing up. Probably do something later. Not sure. I got to get something to eat for sure. Maybe get some beers and we'll get back to the drunk hamster streams. Won't that be fun? All right. You guys take it easy. And I think the link is in the description if you want to look at the Cassie J Red Pill files. Raw files. All right. See you guys later. Bye.